This video explores the interaction between video games and films. It stems from the increasing number of video games being portrayed, symbolized, and integrated into feature-length commercial movies, and vice versa. When examining film genre analysis, structuralism, semiotics, and new media theory, it suggests that the convergence between film and cinema led to the emergence of the new film genre, the technoludic film. The newly coined word combines two different words, technology and ludus, a Latin word for play. Technoludic films is an umbrella term for films that incorporate video games in their narrative. The video discusses four possible modes of incorporation of video games into films. The first, commentary; second, quotation; third, adaptation; and fourth, remediation. This is important as there is an integration of languages, narrative strategies, and genres as video games influence films, and vice versa. The famous release of Lara Croft's Tomb Raider marks an important connection between cinema and video games. The virtual character Lara Croft had now been played by the award winner Angelina Jolie, marking the collaboration of the two biggest stars in their own field. However, this is not the first time. Some examples of popular video games making their way to the movie screen include Super Mario Bros., Mortal Kombat, and even Street Fighter.
Right, Bison. Are you men enough to fight with me?
Anyone who opposes me will be destroyed.
Colonel, you can't!
Oh yes, I can.
Films are progressively using ideas, formulas, and conventions from video games. Take for example the opening sequence to Toy Story 2. We are essentially located inside of a Super Nintendo game, based on the film.
Come to me, my prey.
Similarly, films like The Matrix present to us a world in which the everyday reality is a computer-generated illusion.
Welcome to the desert of the real.
In technoludic films, as commentary and quotation, the source text, the film becomes more superior than the video game. Here, cinema functions as a discourse on video games and makes a complete use of its language to critique the other. Again, the film's dependence to a larger network of cultural texts is implicit. The technoludic film comments on video games, absorbing and dealing with the fascination and terrors brought by the new technology. Therefore, the technoludic film as commentary become a mirror upon which society projects, and reenacts them through myth narratives and its deepest anxieties, forbidden desires, escapism from the self or the body, and ultimately from reality. One good example is the film Cloak and Dagger.
Think you can break the code?
The key is how to get to it. I got an idea.
The guy who gave it to me said something about some numbers.
What number?
1,329 something.
I'll bet you anything that's a secret code that we're looking for. Can you think of anything else?
No.
Davy, are you alone?
Reminds me, Davey, I want to get those walkie-talkies back.
Sure, Morris.
Technoludic films also quote video games. This mode of inclusion is similar to Jeanette's intertextual relations, a relationship of co-presence between two texts or among several texts, and as the actual presence of one's text within another. Video games are visually evoked as an expressive means of commenting on the fictional world of the alluding film. Take for example Blade Runner, a film that displays video game for elusive or illustrative purposes. In terms of remediation and adaptation, video games are essentially superior to film. Films do not simply use the visual style or narrative strategy of video games, become spin-offs, tie-ins, and in translation a successful product. In each instance, film's language, function, and content are firmly reliant on the secondary text, for example, the video game. This manner of integration corresponds to Jeanette's notion of hypertextuality, the relation between a text and an anterior hypotext, a text or genre on which it is based and simultaneously transforms, modifies, elaborates, or subverts. In this case, the filmic adaptation of a video game is interpreted as a hypotext, it being transformed by a complex series of operations, selections, amplifications, concretization, actualization, critique, extrapolation, annihilation, popularization, and reculturalization. Take for example, Double Dragon.
Jimmy! Watch his spin kick!
Watch him. Watch! Yeah! Please remain calm. This is just an aftershock, not a wake.
The growing acceptance of video game adaptations makes this examination, on the whole, rather interesting. The idea of remediation conveyed by Bolter and Grusin expresses the means of repurposing narrative techniques and modes of representation from historical forms of media, and, in addition, co-evolving them with present ones, essentially saying the belief that new visual media acquire cultural relevance best by integrating and refashioning older established media forms. By experimenting with familiar conventions from other media such as the video game, film has produced new formulas of narrative discourse and modes of representation. Thus, this third category includes movies that embody into their narratives and or style some of their conventions of video game language. Take for example, Run Lola Run.
Lola, gehst du einkaufen? Ich brauch Shampoo.
Natürlich, ich habe gewusst, dass du einen hübschen Aszendent hast. Doch, ich darüber nachdenke. Weiß ich nicht. gut. Du bist doch auch verheiratet.
The technoludic film as remediation is the result of remarkable advances in computer animation and virtual reality technology. Films that remediate video games create spectacle, a desirability, and a ludic text, together by their aesthetic and in their narrative structure. In terms of cosmetic, they present animations that are unmistakably similar, or to intentionally mimic, or even openly appropriate those of video games.